Well, good morning. It is Wednesday Wellness. Time for you and I to be well, get well, and stay well. Our Wednesday Wellness today is all about relationships. If you are in a relationship or in a relationship, because all of us are in some kind of a relationship, whether it is family, friends, couples, we're all in a relationship of some kind or another. And today we're going to take a look at where you fit on the unhealthy or not so healthy. We're going to look at this today and figure it out. Now, as you know, I am a professional, licensed, and certified wellness coach, helping you to come up with a better you, as well as working on a better me. I want you to think about what your relationship looks like. And if there's anybody out there who really wants to fix it, we want you to do us a favor. Text us, call in to the show right now while it's live, and figure it out. Why do I say figure it out? Because we are not the type that will give you the answers. Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast is always helping you to challenge yourself. Because isn't it much better when we decide that we want to do something on our own? We have the power to think and choose. Our brains are so marvelously made. And we want to think about the power of our brain. Let's call that brain power. Top of the morning before we start is, what are you thankful for? What are you all thankful for? I know me, I'm thankful for good friends, good people, because I choose that surrounding. I choose that surrounding. And I'm so grateful for the choices that I can make to surround myself with the people that care about me and I care about them. Because I'm going to tell you something while we're talking about relationships. If you're in any type of toxic relationship, it will affect you. Speaking of the mind. And so we're hoping that for 2024 that this particular topic will awaken some of you, most of you, and all of you. That's what we're hoping. That you are going to be able to awaken yourself from any type of emotional sleep. And that's why I like Vibe Talk. I've liked the way that it's turned out, because you guys get to have an honest, open look inside of yourself. And that's why I don't have to give the answers, because I know that you have the brain power And when you work with me, you'll understand that brain power to be able to say, I am my superhero. I can figure things out. I can think for myself. I can act and behave and be accountable for those actions and behaviors. So we're going to talk about relationships. Good morning, Trish. Welcome.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
I'm good.
Good. We're here, my co-host and myself. If you guys have gotten the chance to see our YouTube, please go there. Please check it out. Let us know how you're feeling about it, what you think. Vibe Talk is coming along quite nicely. I can't be more happier. Are you ready? Are you ready to take a leaping look at yourself in your relationships that you've gotten involved in? You know, we think about our relationships, and everyone in life wants to be happy. If I were to ask you right now, how many of you want to be happy? No doubt every person would resoundingly say, I do. In fact, when people get married, that's what they say. I do. Now, the words of I do. What do they mean to you? You know, because a lot of people decide they don't want to get married, but they just want to leave the relationship as it is, and that's totally up to you. We don't tell you what to do here because you have the brain power. But when you say you do in a relationship, how do you do? Interesting verbiage that we use in our everyday life. Now, do you want in your relationship enrichment, happiness, fulfillment, romance, friendliness? Because if you do, that means that you want a healthy relationship. Or do you prefer to stay where it's comfortable for you? Disappointment, distrust, dishonesty, living in the same house, but yet you are not in connection with one another. In fact, you may or may not feel isolated from the world or from those of whom you love because either you or your relationship person is keeping you from that outside connection of people that love you. Which do you choose? Now, think about your relationship because, see, Vibe Talk is not in the business of helping you by giving you the answers. We help you to come up with learning and discovery. Good morning and welcome to Vibe Talk. Thank you for joining us. Please let us know where you guys are from, please, and thank you. So when we think about our relationships, we think about behaviors. In a behavioral relationship, is there abuse, verbal, mental? Is there manipulation? Because I want you to look at this and ask yourself, has that welled you? Are you feeling well from that type of relationship? Do you feel well? Or do you just ignore it? You're comfortable because you've been there so long that you think and believe there's no other way. In fact, you've convinced yourself that you will fix it. Better yet, that you will fix he, she, they, them. How are you doing so far? Because now you've stayed 1 year, 1 month, and 1 day. Think about that. Time is of the essence. Have you regained your power, your strength to notice the difference? Or are you going to listen to this and say, I hadn't really thought about that? And how many of us have not thought about our relationships, where we've been, where we're going? Because we are not some sort of people that will go around and say, poor me, I'm in a relationship, I'm all alone, nobody understands you. Did I grab your attention? Let's stop that. Because the only person that needs to understand you is you. We don't ask questions. Why are you still in that relationship? What are you doing? When are you going to leave they, them, she, her, and whoever else? Why do you keep wounding yourself? I say to you, get up, stand up, and be well. How's that for an opening? Or is it that you feel some sort of loss of control, you said? Because you see, that's been said all before. I feel like I'm out of control. So you began to ignore the abuse. You began to ignore the toxicity. Because when you lose, or when you think you're losing control, you become out of focus. But I want you to fight for yourself. I'm not much of a person that likes to watch boxing on TV, you know, but I know that there's many people who do, and maybe you'll get this. When the boxer is in the ring, the boxer's whole intention for being in that ring is to do what? What do you think, Trish?
Fight and win.
Win! Yes. And I don't think anybody necessarily wants to fight, but he has a cause for it. And the cause is to win. You like that, boxer? You want to win. You want to win in your relationship. You want to be successful and you want to be healthy. Because I hear so many people say, I just want to be happy. Start asking yourself, how can I be happy? How can I have power, mind power that is to get better, to be well, to think about your well-being. Because oftentimes when we're in relationships, it's a give and take. But now today we're going to listen to being equal in relationships and seeing if your relationship is equal. We'll be right back. Stay tuned to Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. Be right back.
Cause we're called Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. Go check your favorite streaming platforms. Feel free to be interactive and tell us your stories. Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, YouTube, and so much more. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. Go give it a shot.
Our lines are open. Our direct connect is 661-503-8993. Love, love, love to talk to you guys. Let's be honest. That is with ourselves. A healthy relationship looks like mutual respect. That a person has respect for the other. How many of you have that? You have respect. You don't have to worry about where she, them, they, or he goes. That's why. You respect their decision to be able to leave the house and know that they'll come back. Now we're going to mix this up a little today because what I'm doing is thinking about well-being. Your well-being is about you feeling and thinking wellness. Now, if you're not trusting and he's not trusting and they're not trusting, they, them, it, she, he, I want to tell you something. When do you gain that trust? If you've been one day too long, what does your answer look like? Are you communicating? I just had a personal situation that came up. And I will reveal things as you need to know them. I had someone that was in my past try to rekindle his relationship with me. I thought. Been here before. New day, new person. You see, because I am not that person that I was when meeting this certain someone. And as I would listen to the conversation, only to find out, what's he trying to do? As he begged me to get back with him, wow, I thought, what a nerve. You come back after you realize, good morning, Brandon. You come back after a decade. What do you think? You see, I began to think in the series of the conversation, over 4 conversations, what is that looking like? Because some of you do go back to adage relationships. You go back and you know why you go back, because you thought that you were missing something. How many of you have felt like that? You feel as if your relationship has missed something. I'm going to awaken you to awareness. After talking to this person, I realized that is the exact same person. It's funny how the memory works. They forget their behaviors. They forget all the hurtfulness. And they convince you that they're a new person and to go second time around and they will treat you better than before. Have you ever heard anything like that, Trish? And to the audience as well.
Yes, I have.
How does that make you feel?
That honestly, that triggers me a little bit because I've been in that situation before. That made me feel. It made me feel a little hope because I thought he was serious, but I could see little signs and I took action and I said no because it wasn't what I thought it would be.
Thank you for that. It's very powerful. So I'm sharing my story with you, ladies and gentlemen, to see if you could see yourself in this. And after conversations, I made sure to let him know. No way, no how. Zip, zero, nada, minus. And a minus, I should say. Because you see, those signs that Trisha's talking about, they will display themselves up. And he, she, they, them will always come out of hiding. And when you see those signs, yes, Trish, that was very wise. She said, no. Now, are you saying no, or are you still wondering, have they, them, they, her, she changed? You're still wondering, even though you can see the signs, because some of us still are not seeing the sign. You know the song, I saw the sign? Are you seeing the sign of, wow, that person was so abusive. That person was mentally abusive. Oh, but it's okay because they've changed. If you, them, they, he, her, it have been there, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, you've heard of people who've gotten married a second time to the same person, that is. We're going to leave that right there. See, in a relationship that's healthy, you want open and direct communication. You don't want to feel like there's going to be a encore of the same set of problems that caused you to go your separate ways. You don't want a reprisal of that. You want to feel supported, comfort. You want to be equal in the relationship. Being able to have your own mind, being able to have a life that you can go somewhere for just even a few minutes without the other person. When something comes up in a relationship, how do you resolve it respectfully? For those of you who are choosing to stay in the unhealthy. And sometimes when conflict comes up, it can be healthy, depending on how you're going to respond. They, them, she, it, her, he, and the others. How are you guys responding? And when you talk about your core values, you mutually respect each other. The trust and honesty thing is always a major factor in relationships and should be. When you are in a committed relationship, if you don't trust that person, if that person is not honest with you, you ask yourself, why are you still sleeping with that person? You see how I turned that around? The word commitment. Let me spell it out for you. Write it down and look at the person that you partnered up with and ask yourself, COMMITIENT. Are you to that person? You might have to play this a couple of times to get the spelling of what I said. Because if your brain is sharp enough and you said, oh, that's commitment, well, then you should be sharp enough to ask yourself, are you willing to value that person in a committed relationship? You know, healthy relationships, none of them are perfect. If you've ever been in the perfect relationship, then ask yourself that question. You know, there are things that come up. You look at your strengths, your weaknesses, challenges. All of these land you to one thing: change. What if is something that you'd like to change? Not the other person change. What do you want to bring to the table in relationships? See, by looking at this, you're going to be able to come up with your own answer. See, that's the strategy, and not giving you the answer. So if you're looking for a program that is going to give you all the answers, this is not that program. Going to the unhealthy relationships, we look at the power and control of one who wants to control you. Let's get deep in the water. Or maybe you are that person that wants to power and control he, she, them, they, and the others. You see, power and control is very strong. It has a binding ring to it. But is it always healthy? Because I've seen relationships like that too. Power and control. Everybody wants power and control. And you know what's the most perplexing question to me? Is why? Why? Why are we giving away our power? That's the more perplexing question. Why are you giving away your power? You're giving your way power to unhealthy and abusive behaviors. Some of us I know are denying it. Not me. Think about it. I've even had people say, they're not really abusive. And you give them a scenario to bring them to their knees. They won't welcome. You know why? Because they're not ready. And if you're one of those persons that aren't ready, then I'll tell you what, this particular topic may not be the one that your ears are ready to hear. Because that power can be very forceful. It can be very sickening. Sometimes that power can make us people that we were never meant to be. So I ask you today, is your relationship healthy or unhealthy? Because we're working on this for Wednesday Wellness. But then you still say, but yeah, some of the things that Miss Nisi talked about in the last 25 minutes, I saw myself right away, but. There's always a but. Well, I want you to start removing that but and say, I will work on that. Even if you're not ready to leave today, I want you to know that you choose your power. Remember when we were childlike children, we chose our favorite superhero. And the reason we chose those superheroes that we still like is because of their power and their ability to do something that really was like, wow, wow. See that? I want you to turn your superhero power into yourself internally so that you can see the good of yourself externally. If you see an ongoing pattern of abuse, how do you respond to it? You say, well, he's not always that way. He's just been really stressed. She's been really stressed. They've been really stressed. He, she, it, they, them. What am I doing? Making an excuse when there is none. When that behavior has a root foundation, a rooted foundation. Sometimes you will put yourself in the root of that foundation and say, it's all me. I am speaking from experience, telling you my story. But I want you to think about it because you have mind power. If you feel like you've got loss of power, I want you to go back to your marvelous brain and remember how we talked about the brain's power to be able to think, to be able to think thoughts, and what you need to do when you see signs of abuse. See, it's your brain power. So, what do you want in a healthy relationship? Let's talk about that. See, because all of us want something different. You get a bunch of men and women and you sit them in the room and you ask them a question and you say, upon looking for a partner, what do you want? I'm going to ask Trish that question. Trish, when you're looking or thinking about someone to spend the rest of your life with, what do you want? You hear? See her. We have some connection. I want in a relationship to be able to communicate effectively, to be able to love him like I've learned to love myself. And love comes along with trust. Trust. It's so important that trust, because a lot of people have been damaged as they have trusted. But I don't want you to give up, because you know why? When you give up, you give away your power. So what are you looking for in a relationship? Because what I look for may not be what you're looking for. And if you are an unhealthy person, you're going to bring in unhealthiness. If you are an unwell person, would you say, well, gee, you know, we really are a good match. We're two unwell people together. Although that may be true of some of us. What are you looking for? You see, the same thing you're looking for is the same thing you should be, because that's equal. You know, some people that aren't mature, that haven't really lived long, you know, they say money, security. Well, I want to ask you something. In your relationship right now, do you have money? Because if you do you have money? Do you have security? Because if you don't have it, why are you expecting he, them, they, she to have it? You cannot expect something to happen that you're not doing. Standing accountable. Don't expect it if you're not willing to give it. So, we want you to be able to, in your unhealthy relationships, be safe. Just put down a domestic violence crisis line, 1-800-799-7233. Thank you for that, Trish. We're not going to tell you, girl, go ahead, leave him. Dude, leave her. We're not going to tell you that, because you have mind power. You know, when we were kids and we had an assignment and the teacher asked, and this happened a lot in writing, in English, brainstorm, and you had to draw that circle and you had to give your thoughts, and by the time you knew it, the circle was filled. That's what I want you to do with your mind power. If you're feeling safe, I want you to be able to think about what your relationship looks like, and will it get better on its own by you nurturing it, or by them, they, she, he doing the work. I always believe in doing your own work. I think that's the most effective way to make you stand accountable. Today we have looked at some unhealthy and some healthy. And I want you to be able to decide because you have great power. Never, ever give away your power. Do you want to stay in the relationship to make it work? Then you must be the communicator. Because a lot of people say, he doesn't communicate. Well, how are you doing in that? Your responsibility is that you be a communicator. That doesn't mean a dictator, because you got some women that tell the man what to do, and I don't understand that. And you got some men that think that they're somebody's daddy. You ain't my daddy. So communicate equally with speaking, not down, not up, but on the same ground level. Speak with each other, not to each other. There's a difference. So, do you think you're in an unhealthy or healthy relationship? Sometimes we're afraid to tell people what that relationship is like. And I always say, if you're unhappy in a relationship, it's not like someone took your hands and tied your hands and bounded them together to make you stay. As if you don't have a choice to make it better. No one knows but you. I wanted to put this out there because so many people in the last 3 years that I've worked with have said the things I've said. I've said those things, but now, my wellness was important. So I had to think about my actions, what that looked like. And I had to ask myself, is this healthy for me? Do I value myself enough? Going back to the conversation of someone that was in my life decades. Like, oh, you want to rekindle this relationship. In the time that I talked to that person showed me who they really are. Wow. I dodged a bullet, literally. Because you see, if the eyes weren't open and the heart was not aware already, how many of us would have jumped back at the chance? Because we say, oh, he, them, they, she, it, him, they're better. When the reality is, they haven't done a thing to change. Whoever you are, I want you to always remember this. This is going to be hard hitting for so many people. Even though you're not saying anything, we know you have experience or you know somebody. See, it's not your decision to have them get out of the relationship. And I want to tell you another thing. Some relationships can be fixed, have been fixed, and are fixed. People can look at the relationship and say, wow, look where we've came from. I do know quite a bit of people like that. So what will it be? We're going to be right back after these messages. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. Facing the lion is always positive. And so I ask you
doing today is we are going to be facing our lions or challenges of the week. What did you face this week? Challenge.
Join us Fridays as we ask the question, what challenges are you facing or have you faced this week? Friday mornings, Facing the Lions. Finally Friday. We are back, and we've talked about healthy and unhealthy relationships, and we're asking the question, which one are you in? There are many signs. There are many signs. The enabler, stagnant, boring relationships. You've been together so long that it's boring. You've done nothing exciting and new, but you're used to it. And there's that carefree relationship. You do what you want, I do what I want, because it's an open relationship. Wow, I say to that. Yeah, that part. So now we look at each other and we are here. We have questions to ask our own selves. See, because we all want to be in a relationship. But will you be so desperate that you will accept anything in they, them, she, him, her? You have choices. I'm going to turn this over to Trisha's Treasures.
My well-being is something that I struggled with in being in relationships because I tend to focus on the other person's happiness, and just seeing them happy makes me happy. And a part of me thought that was how it's supposed to be because I'm giving my all to this person. And I basically wrote a contract mentality for myself and saying, I make you happy, and as long as you're happy, that's our relationship. Like, you don't have to do anything for me. I'm making you happy, and that's it. And that was very toxic for my mentality because I ended up being taken advantage of in that sense, and that was my fault. I'm accountable for that. And I had to step back from relationships and think about, am I worth my own happiness? Am I worth someone actually giving their all to me while I give my all to them and taking time for me? And I am. I am worth that. So now I am waiting and for that person that special person for me. I am working on me because I know I still have work to do on myself. And that's good for me because I think for myself to let someone deal with my problems that will affect the relationship, I just think that wouldn't make me feel well, and that wouldn't make the other person feel like I care about them. So I'm very considerate of how I make other people feel, and now I'm considerate on how I should feel in the relationship as well. So this podcast was very triggering for me because I am terrified of going into relationships for that reason, but I am willing to go into a relationship not just for the affection, but for the commitment, because when I commit to something, I love it and I will be the best I can be for that. So if you're willing to go into a relationship, and if you are in a relationship, think about the priorities and what is your priority in the relationship and how the person is prioritizing you and how you both are treating each other. It's not just about how the person is treating you, but it is about how you treat them as well. And it starts with how you treat yourself. The golden rule is treat others how you want to be treated. So having that in the relationship is something that'll make you think about and be considerate of one another's feelings.
That was part of our Trisha's Treasures. Thank you for those lioness words. And Trisha's Treasure is where Trish gives her commentary and her thoughts. By the way, gotta listen to some of her music. And Trish put up more things so that people can find your Trisha's Treasures. Here's some inspiration as we conclude healthy versus unhealthy relationships. A healthy relationship is a feast of affection given for both people, not one receiving crumbs and trying to convince himself it's enough. Here's another one. I used to think the worst thing in life was to end up all alone. It's not. The worst thing in life is to end up with people that make you feel all alone. Quote, quote, I quote. Here's another one. When you stop expecting people to be perfect, you can be like them. You can like them for who they are. Here's another. Every good relationship, especially marriage, is based on respect. If it's not based on respect, nothing that appears to be good will last very long. Another one. As you remove toxic people from your life, you free up space and emotional energy for positive, healthy relationships. One more before we go. Fear of breaking family loyalty is one of the greatest stumbling blockage to recovery. Yet until we admit certain things we would rather excuse or deny, we cannot truly begin to put the past in the past and leave it there once and for all. Unless we do that, we cannot even begin to think of having a future that is fully ours, untethered to the past. And we will be destined to repeat it. That's so true. So true. Love those quotes. I want to thank my amazing co-host. Thank you so much for Trisha's Treasures. Is that on YouTube as well, Trish?
Yes, it is.
You can find that. Also, her music, as you hear every morning, Trish is responsible for our sounds. And don't forget, Saturday, come spend an evening with me. Chill wherever you are driving. It'll be the this chillest ride that you've taken. Music, song dedication, thank you. Facebook, thank you. YouTube, our podcast, because we're getting people to listen to that. Come spend an evening with us live on Instagram and Facebook after dark. Vibe Talk After Dark. Thank you for joining me on this Wednesday Wellness. We encourage you to get well, be well, and stay well, even in relationships. Our last question of the day. What did you learn and discover about yourself? I'll start with me. And how did it make you feel? Today's podcast made me really admit to myself, why jump into the same relationships when the other person who's pleading with you that they've changed has not done the work yet? There is hope. Yes, hope that he can have a better relationship with someone else other than me. No way. I'm not getting back in that relationship. This awakened my awareness, and I feel powered up. Trish, what did you learn and discover about yourself during this particular podcast for Wednesday Wellness?
I learned that because I've learned to love myself, I know what I deserve and what I am worth in relationships, and that helps my judgment and how I view things when I'm choosing someone to be with. And my experience here today, it was triggering because I thought of my past relationship that damaged me, but it also taught me lessons of what I should value in me. So that's how I felt.
And you know what? Thank you for that. I want to say in closing, isn't it amazing how someone perceives that you could still be that same person that didn't know better? You see, there's an old adage, and I always loved this quote, and my dearest friend who has passed away was an older woman. She always quoted this: when people know better, they do better. That makes so much sense. See, now I know better, so I'm doing better. Stay well, everybody. Until next time, this is Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast, and you can see us all over the web. You can even hashtag us. More importantly, please go support our YouTube page. Have a good day, everybody. I wish you wellness. Have a nice day.
Face my eyes. Don't want you just to make a resolution. I want to think about. I was really about to move it, then I got the vibe with it. I really feel like smiling. I really love the ride with it. Real, really got the vibe with it. It's the smile with it. I really love the ride with it. If I see I'm telling you, when you get the vibe with it, yeah. When you get the vibe with it, yeah. Just say something. It's about commitment.